Okay, great. All right, come on back, everybody. Great. So we've got everybody. Great. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight for the Upper Darby Township Council meeting for this November 18th, 2020, 5 minutes after the close of the capital improvement plan and 2021 budget hearing. So at this point in time, can everyone turn on your microphones and stand up and adjust your cameras for the Pledge of Allegiance? For those who haven't found it yet,
Allegiance.
it's in the mayor's screen. So, and I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of
America. And the republic which stands
one
nation
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone can just remain standing for a moment of silence for those who've been lost. Thank you. As we're opening this meeting, I'd like to turn roll call over to Councilwoman Phillips in this roll call action.
Sure. Thank you, Council President Wentz. Councilman Tunis.
Good afternoon, Upper Darby.
Michelle Phillips is here. Councilman Silva.
Present.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Here.
Councilman Gwen.
Present.
Councilman Burke.
Present.
Councilman Sadiq.
I'm here.
Excuse me. Councilwoman Faralia.
Here.
Councilman Barnett.
Here.
Councilman Wagner.
Here.
And Council President Wentz.
Here. Thank you all for being here. Just want to acknowledge that also on our meeting this evening, we have Mayor Keffer, we have CAO Rongione, we have Solicitors Kilkenny and Richardson. We also have members of our bond team here, Mr. Scott, Mr. Willard, Mr. Payne, and I'm not sure who the iPhone person is. And then we also have from our finance world, we have Mr. Marin and our treasurer, David Heyman. So thank you all for being here and taking part. Next up, we have rules of decorum. Upper Darby Township Council and residents will maintain professional respect for each other. Council encourages free speech, however, civility is required, which would prohibit threats, profanity, scandalous, impertinent, and redundant comment, or any comment the discernible purpose of which is to disrupt or prevent the conduct of the business of the meeting. Okay, so next up is the approval of our minutes. Can I get a motion to approve committee minutes for October 7th, 2020?
So moved.
Blackwell?
Second.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or concerns on these minutes? Seeing none, council members, please turn on your microphones. All those in favor of passing the minutes from the committee meeting on October 7th, 2020, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. And anyone abstain? Hearing none. Great. So next up we have, can we get a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of October 14th, 2020?
So moved.
I heard Silva and Sadiq. right? Okay, so Silva moved. Silva, Siddiq. Okay, are there any questions or concerns on these minutes? Councilman Barnett?
Thank you, President Wentz. I just have for a point of clarification on, I think, what is the third page under capital budget presentation. Under my comments, which begin DPP referred to the line item, it says at the end of the first line, there is a 22 million debt obligation to $62 million debt. Just a point of clarification. I think it should be better to say there is, which is what I believe I said or intended to say, there is a $22 million debt obligation to become a $62 million debt.
Alexis, can you come on?
I just noticed that this evening, by the way, or else I would have called in earlier.
That's okay. Alexis, do you know where he is on that?
I do not. Actually, Kara did those minutes, but Don, if you could just put in writing exactly how you would like that phrased and send it, that would be very helpful for the revision.
I'd be pleased to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alexis.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And so we will amend the minute. So when we go, we're going to amend the minutes based on your amendment. Okay, Don?
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or concerns on the minutes? Okay, so everyone turn on your microphones. All those in favor of approving the October 14th minutes as amended for Don's clarification of Don's comment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name. Abstain. Okay, ayes have it. Thank you.
Laura, did we get a move in a second on that?
We did. The move was Silva and the second was Siddiq.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and then can we get a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting for October 21st, 2020? Can I get a move and seconded?
Second.
Who's moving? So,
Seconded.
okay, so Blackwell and Siddiq. Okay, any questions and concerns about these minutes from council or anyone? Really? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of approving the regular meeting minutes of October 21st, 2020, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstains? No. Okay, ayes have it. Thank you. Great. Okay. Next up, we have public forum. So if Ms. Dobbins can come back, council, everyone, if you can mute yourself, or I will mute you for you. Ms. Billups and I are the timekeepers. I'm keeping the 3 minutes, and Ms. Billups is keeping the 2.5 minute warning. So get my timer going. Okay, and Ms. Dobbins, go.
Vanya Vale, 4712 Woodland Avenue, Drexel Hill, PA. Hello all. Why doesn't Upper Darby collect leaves like the surrounding townships? Other townships like Haverford will go through the neighborhoods to collect loose leaves that residents deposit curbside. The streets surrounding Aronimick and Drexel Ave have leaf curbside collection by UD Township, so why doesn't the rest of Upper Darby Township neighborhoods? If those neighborhoods are not supposed to deposit their leaves curbside, then why aren't they fined and made to bag the leaves themselves? Thank you. End of comment.
Thank you. CAO, would you like to, I know that leaves have been a topic of conversation lately, so, or Mayor wanted to. No? Okay, go ahead, Mayor. Yeah, yep.
commenting on public comments is not
Okay.
really what we're here to do, but I will say that in 2021, we will be expanding yard waste collection to include every week during April through November. And we've also been, we've applied for a couple grants so that we can get the equipment for a better leaf waste collection. So I think things are on the rise here. But that's
Thank you.
all I'd like to say. Thanks.
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you for getting grants to get better equipment. That's awesome. Cool. Thank you. Okay, great. So, and Ms. Dobbins, next.
Peggy Braden Wilson, 824 Drexel Avenue, Drexel Hill, PA. Mr. Burnett and Mr. Wagner criticized the new administration's budget presentation for bringing to light the condition that the previous administration left the township's finances in. They may remember me asking about the deficit budgets passed for the last 2 years and how the gap was going to be made up. They point out that the finances of the township were audited by qualified accountants every year without fail. Those auditors repeatedly gave Upper Darby Township their clear stamp of approval. This is not hard to understand. What is hard to understand is how a township employee was able to embezzle over $200,000 from 2012 through 2017 without these qualified auditors picking up on that. She was only discovered when she took a sick day and her supervisor found the evidence in her drawer. Makes me wonder what else this crack team may have missed or had hidden from them. End of comment.
Okay. Any comments from council? Seeing none. Or anyone else? Seeing none. Okay, great. And Ms. Dobbin, go.
Mohammed Islam, 208 Glencoe Road, Upper Darby, PA, 19082. To Honorable Mayor, Council Administration, I, Mohammed Ferdis Islam, am extorting that there is fence broken since long time in Walnut and Glencoe Road along Cobb's Creek. So some people walk through the creek from Marshall to Glencoe Road and Walnut. As a result, the forest is losing beautification. So the fence need to replace immediately if it's possible. 2, on Glencoe Road, northeast side on the grass, parking is prohibited. Still, some people park on the grass. In fact, there's mud and a big hole and destroy the natural beautiness, and it will affect property value as well. So need parking enforcement on those who park on the grass. He also included some photos which will be shared with council. That concludes his comment and concludes public comment for this evening.
Great, thank you. CAO, is that something that can be looked into?
Yeah, absolutely. We will definitely look into both those issues.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Dobbins, for your assistance. So we're gonna close the public comment section for this evening. Next up, we have the Honorable Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer. You need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. I would like to give an update on COVID-19 guidelines and also let you know what we're doing here in the township. According to the governor's new directive, if you are unable to stay 6 feet apart while outdoors, you are required to wear a mask. If you are indoors among people not in your household, you are also required to wear a mask. Here in the township building, we still remain closed to walk-in traffic. Appointments can be made for certain business. We wear masks inside the building and when we meet with each other. Our sanitation staff operates on a staggered schedule. Many of our forms and services can be found online. And we have not taken any steps backwards. These protocols have been in place pretty much since the emergency declaration in March. This has been a long 8 months, and I thank everyone who has been doing their best to socially distance, stay in place, and wear masks. Did COVID disappear on November 4th? No, it did not. The number of test positives, hospitalizations, and deaths are drastically increasing. Please think about your family, friends, neighbors, healthcare workers, and first responders as you go about your day. While we have a while to go before a vaccine is ready for distribution, we have a while before a vaccine is ready for wide distribution. And please keep that in mind. The more consistent mitigation efforts we do, the more we can help each other and get through this. Thank you for what you've done, what you're doing, and what you will do to contain the spread of the virus. On a more business note, we are still accepting resumes and cover letters for open positions on the Historic Commission, the Library Board, the Planning Committee, and the Zoning Hearing Board. If you're interested in serving on any of these, please send your resume and cover letter to mayor@upperdarby.org. Tonight, I'm asking council to approve appointments to the Zoning Hearing Board and the Municipal Pension Board. And tonight is the last council meeting before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a township holiday, and there will be no trash or recycling collected on November 26th. On Friday, November 27th, trash and recycling will be collected, but the township building will be closed. And on Saturday, November 28th, we have a small business Saturday. If you're able, please consider purchasing a gift card or something else from one or more of our local businesses. And Allison Dobbins is screen sharing a proclamation for Small Business Saturday. It's a little wordy and there's a lot of whereases. So given where we are right now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. And that's the update from the mayor, from the mayor. So.
Great, thank you, Mayor. And thanks for letting us know about the small business day on Saturday. That's great. Okay, so next up is actually your appointments. So at this point in time, can we get Solicitor Kilkenny to read resolution number 53-20?
Sure, let me pull it up. And this is the appointment to the Zoning Hearing Board. About to go read it. Yep. Okay. A resolution of the Township of Upper Darby, Delaware County, appointing Andrew Heyman as a member of the Zoning Hearing Board and providing an effective date. Whereas Upper Darby has enacted a zoning ordinance and established a zoning hearing board in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. Whereas Section 403 of the Home Rule Charter of Upper Darby Township provides that the mayor appoints with the approval of council all members of authority boards and commissions. Whereas Section 903 of the MPC provides that members of the zoning hearing boards are to be appointed by resolution. Whereas Andrew Heyman was appointed an alternate to the zoning hearing board on February 19, 2020. Whereas Robert White was appointed to the zoning hearing board on to serve a term on December 31st, 2020, and resigned as of November 6, 2020. And the mayor desires to appoint Andrew Heyman as his replacement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Upper Darby Council that Andrew Heyman is approved as a member of the zoning hearing board with a term expiring December 31st, 2023.
Great, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve resolution 3-20?
I'd like to make a motion. Second.
Okay, so Gwen and Tunis. Great. Are there any questions or concerns?
Will be considered.
We're having a hard time hearing you, Matt.
Someone else to be alternate to replace Mr. Hello.
Go ahead,
Unless I
CA.
froze her.
Yeah, no, I think I picked up what Councilman Silva was asking, and the answer is yes, there will be an alternate appointed to replace Andrew as the alternate. The thinking was that Andrew would be moved up so that we would have a full zoning hearing board for the next meeting, and then the mayor would select an alternate to be appointed at a later date.
So that was part of my address, was asking for resumes and letters of interest from people to be appointed to the zoning hearing board. But it would be as the alternate. But we want to keep it like a nice fresh stock of people that are interested in serving as well. So yes, we're definitely looking to find an alternate.
Great, awesome, thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, council members, please turn on your microphones. All those in favor of resolution 53-20, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name.
Tom Bonnet, no.
Don Burnett. No. Anyone else a no? Okay. Any abstains? No. Okay, so 10 yes, 1 no. Okay, great. Next up, we have Resolution 54-20. Can Solicitor Richardson give us a reading of the resolution for the next appointment?
Thank you, President Wentz. This is a resolution of the Township of Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, appointing Bob Gwynn, Michelle Billups, and Matt Silva as members of the Municipal Employees Pension Plan Board and providing an effective date. Whereas Upper Darby Township's Municipal Employee Pension Plan was established January 1st, 1948. The plan is administered independently of the Township of Upper Darby with its own Board of Trustees. The board is comprised of 9 members, 6 Class A members elected by the plan membership, and 3 Class B members appointed by the mayor. Whereas Section 403 of the Home Rule Charter of Upper Darby Township provides that the mayor appoints with the approval of council all members, but members of authorities, boards, and commissions. And whereas Section 1.9 of the plan, as adopted by Ordinance 2918, specifically defines Class B members as individuals chosen by the mayor who shall serve at the pleasure of the mayor and must sit on the township council. Whereas the mayor desires to appoint council members Bob Gwynn, Michelle Billups, and Matt Silva as Class B board members of the plan. Now therefore be it resolved by the Upper Darby Township Council that Bob Gwynn, Michelle Billups, and Matt Silva are approved as members of the Municipal Employees Pension Plan Board of Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, effective November 18th, 2020. So ends the reading.
Great, thank you. Council members, please turn on your microphones. Can we get a motion to approve resolution 54-20?
So moved.
Make a motion. Seconded.
So I heard Blackwell and Tunis. Great. Are there any questions or concerns on this resolution? I'm seeing none. So council members, turn on your microphones. All those in favor of resolution 54-20, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say your name. Or abstain? Okay, ayes have it. Thank you, unanimous. Great. So next up, we have Council President Wentz. So just to continue on the line of what Mayor Keffer was saying, with all the increases on COVID, we continue to maintain the COVID precautions for wearing your mask and making sure that, you know, anyone that's not in your immediate family, i.e. your family pod, that you are wearing a mask around them. And if you take SEPTA to please check their schedule in advance of trying to catch a train or a bus because they are, or a trolley, because they're in the process of changing some of their schedules. So just wanted to make sure everyone's checking their schedules in advance and just stay safe. So that's all I got. So next up, we have committee reports, Finance Committee, Finance and Appropriations Committee, co-chairs, Councilman Gwynn and Silva, council members Blackwell and Burke. And next up, we have our treasurer, David Heyman, to give his report. So take it away, David Heyman.
Thank you, Council President, and good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you all again. I distributed my report earlier today, so I hope you all have it.
All
right.
I realized that I did not forward it to council, so you go ahead and I will do that. That was
I'm just gonna have to take my word for it. All right.
I'm so sorry, guys.
That's all right. So my report is somewhat of an upgrade. Thank you, Gary Marin, for helping me really get a lot of information to let me get a lot deeper into our numbers. And I think the reports have been getting more and more reliable, but I'm really happy about the new version I've got here, and I'll explain how it differs from the older version. So here we go. Just to reiterate, in 2019, the township's total operating expense budget set for 2020 was $97,939,557. The budget includes a spending plan for 4 governmental funds. So for those listening in our audience, we really break it down into 4 segments of the finances, and they're called funds. In government, we call them funds. And we name them the general fund, the sewer fund, the highway fund, and the sinking fund. And so together, the spending, what that $97 million represents, is the spending that's going to go on in those 4 funds over the course of the year, the expected spending. So this report summarizes the township's financial condition up to October 31st, and then projects forward our current financial position through the end of the year. And so tonight I'm going to include what I believe is a probabilistic outcome for the year. And then I took sort of what I consider to be a worst case. It is 2020, right? So we got to look at the worst case.
Hey, David, not that I mean to interrupt you, but are you able to share your screen? Can we work it out for David to share his screen? I did just email it to council, but is there any way you can share your screen?
I can't. Let's see. I can do a share screen. I'm going to have to hunt. You know what? Before I share the screen, give me about 30 seconds to get that thing up in the background.
Yep. You work your magic. I'm sorry. So, council members, I did just send you his report. There are 2 documents for you. I'm sorry. I did not. Sorry for not sending it to you earlier.
That's okay. I am going to just wow you with a lot of numbers. Hang on a second here. Let's see. November is, and here we go. Is this the thing? Oh, here we are. All right. So I'm going to drop that down to about 75%. Ooh, that's kind of small. Let's go to 100. And then I will turn this screen on for you. There we go. That's not so bad. And all right, now I got to find you again. You think that this deeply into the year where everything is on a webinar that, okay, here we go. So share the screen, and then I'm going to bring this little fella up over here. All right, how's that? All right, I get the thumbs up. Thank you. All right, so let's start at the top of this thing. I'll just sort of narrate it down from here rather than read off of my written report. It's the same thing. So what you can see is we've broken the finances into a revenue budget and an expense budget. This is the first time I've been able to do that. So this makes things a little bit more accurate. So our planned revenue at the beginning of the year was about $93.7 million. You can see that right there. And then our planned expenses were $97,939,000 and a pizza party. And so the next part of this is a summary of the operating revenue year to date and where I think we're going through year end. And so in October, we pulled in $5.3 million, which brought us up to $86.9 million in total revenue collected. My projection for revenue for the remainder of the year is an additional $4.97 million, bringing us up to a total revenue of $91.92. Okay, that's versus that planned revenue of 93.7. That will come into play in just a minute. All right. So through the rest of the year, we think maybe 2.5 in December and 2.5 in November, just roughly guesstimating at that income. And again, I'm going to bring this all back into a summary at the end. So just kind of giving you the numbers. Looking at it from an expense standpoint, October, $16 million expended. Now, we've gone over this a number of times about why that is. It has to do with the front loading of revenues early in the year, and we don't collect as much in the rest of the year. We sort of fill up the tank and then we burn the gas. And in October is a particularly expensive month because we put the money into the pension plans. So we do our once a year pension contribution in October, and that's what pulls that thing up to $16 million. So it's quite a month, October. So year to date, that brings us up to $82.7 million that we've actually spent. Projecting our expenditures through the rest of the year at $91.3 million, or an average expenditure per month over the next 2 months, about $4 million. Okay, all right. So now what we want to do is we want to compare what we've spent against what we expected. And there's where there's really a lot of good news here. Although our revenue is $1.8 million below what we thought we would receive, the spending is $6.6 million less than what we thought we were going to spend. And now, so this looks like a surplus as much as $4.8 million relative to what we thought we were going to do and what we're going to actually realize. And I just want to take a moment to say that when you go through the budget on a line item basis, looking at every single month and then trying to figure out what's moving forward, it tells a story. Now, it doesn't literally speak to me. I'm not crazy for that reason, but it does tell a story. And the story is that our department, I don't know who to give the credit to, but there's a lot of credit to give over in that old building over there, that people have really pulled together and done quite a job to make this year work for the township. And if I can speak for the taxpayers as being one of them, thank you very much for the effort, because it's really showing. And so moving down into the general fund, it shouldn't say general fund. It should say the operating funds. This is different. I got a little bit of a typo in here. I used to be looking at just the general fund. Now I'm looking at all the funds. I've got all the information on all the funds. So when we look at this, I'm going to scroll a little bit here. When we look at this from a cash reserve standpoint, we started out the year in all of our cash reserves, our operating reserves, at $8.7 million. Our current bank balance, the current bank balance as of October 31st was $14.5 million. And it actually went up about $800,000 in the first 3 weeks of November. So that was, we're doing all right here, but let's base this on the $14.5 million that we had at the end of October 31st. All right, with projected revenues, additional revenues of $4.9 million and projected spending of $8.5 million, I'm shooting for a cash reserve balance moving into 2021 at $10.9 million. It's a pretty healthy number. That's where I think we're going to be, unless somebody goes on quite a spending spree. That would be very unusual. And then what I did was say, all right, let's it's 2020, right? So we got to expect something to go wrong. So let's say we don't collect another dollar of revenue through the rest of the year. What happens? Well, our $14.5 million is going to burn down $8.5 million, and we're still going to finish the year at $5.9 million. All right, still a pretty healthy entrance into 2021. So then what? Well, traditionally, what we do, and we have done at some points in the past, is taking a brief loan. I think you call it a TRAN. It's a bridge to get because we don't have a lot of revenue in January and February relative to the ongoing expenses. And so this loan helps us get to March, where we really start collecting the money, start filling the tank back up again. And what I'm expecting is about 10 million. If it's true to form, January and February this year were pretty much pre-COVID. So if we have kind of a normal January and February, we're going to bring in about $10 million, and we're going to need to spend about 13 million. So the change in the cash flow will be about $2.8 million. Without the loan, we're still looking at going into March with about $3 million in the bank. Okay, and this is assuming we don't make any more money through the rest of this year. So we look to be in pretty good shape. And that sort of summarizes it for us. So I'll just, any questions or anything. But I hope this makes people feel good, because I think it should. Okay, bye.
Laura, unmute it, Laura. Laura, unmute.
This will be the fastest getaway ever.
David, don't go anywhere. Council members, do you have any questions on what you've seen? I did send you the thing. So I'm just scrolling through to see if there are any questions from Councilman Siddiq and Councilman Silva. So Councilman Siddiq, go ahead.
Hey, David, thank you so much for your details, particulars of this report. Good job. And it is up to October, right?
This is through October. Yeah, the end of October.
So we still have November, December revenue to come.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Silva.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, thank you too, David. Do you still recommend then, or would that be more Mr. Maron's call, whether or not we would be still considering a TAN for early next year?
Yeah, to refer to Hamilton. I'm not in the room where it happens. I would defer that to Mr. Maron.
Gary, do you mind coming on and?
There we go. I'll be happy to. Actually, after I went through this discussion with David and we looked at his numbers together, it eased my mind a little bit from where I was last month or last week rather, when I was talking about this. At the time, I had mentioned to everyone that I had not put together a cash flow analysis yet through year end. This that 3 million bottom line is, of course, worst case scenario. It assumes that there's no revenue flow in November and December. Assuming that there is a normal revenue flow in November and December, we should be able to make it through to next tax season with $6, maybe $7 million in our coffers. If we're on track for that, I'm not sure that it would be appropriate for us to look for a TRAN, but obviously this is not my decision to make. I mean, this is a decision that will be made by CIO Rangioni and the mayor, and I'm sure in consult with all of you. My role is to identify that we really do have a need for a TRAN, and at the moment I'm cautiously optimistic.
Right. Well, thank you for that clarification. Yes, having the numbers and understanding the numbers based on the need is important. And yes, it's COVID, it's a year of constant COVID-19, so anything could happen. So, but I'm sure as we get the next month's, so I guess the question is, how late can we wait to is safe to make that decision? For the TRAN to be able to have it in time if we do need it. So we basically would need it our next opportunity is December. So I guess that is it, but I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, well, actually, we didn't approve this year's Tran until the January meeting.
Okay.
So I think we do have some time to make that evaluation. And it's possible that Zach from PFM might be able to speak a little bit more to that. But yeah, we didn't approve this year's until January. So there will be some time for Gary to evaluate cash flow and make a report to the mayor and council, et cetera.
Right, that's right. And because that also at that point in time, the two meetings, I think it was introduced in December and then voted on in January. And that's the reason for that. So yeah,
Right.
Great. So we do have a little bit of wiggle room, which is good.
And this is Zach, real quick. Your Trans, they can move a little bit quicker than the bond issue process. So from that standpoint, you kind of have a little extra wiggle room as well.
Right. Great, thank you. All right, so are there anyone else that has any questions?
I do.
Go ahead, Councilman Gwynn.
Yeah, and this is for, I guess, Gary or David. In terms of your projections, have you allotted the usual amounts that we see in the Thanksgiving/Christmas holiday time, where people are going on vacations, taking time off, or you're ending up paying more overtime to cover those slots for people that are out?
Yeah, I'm presuming that
paying year-end.
Yeah, I'm looking back at
accumulated,
2019 and looking at what the revenues were in the last 2 months of the year, what they are, what we spent our money on the last couple of years, and so yeah, we did take that into account. I don't see anything that would be that, unless you could, if there's anything that's that different this year than would have been last Thanksgiving.
And in fact, we just today moved the money to fund this payroll, which is the annual payroll where we pay out the holiday pay to police and fire.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely on track with budget and with last year's actual. So
that was my concern.
In that regard, I think we're going to be fine.
Thank you.
Great. Awesome. So so if there's any other council member that has a question, please speak up because I'm not seeing you. I'm just going to do one more. Here we go. Easier. Okay. So seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. So I heard Billups and Silva first. So Billups. Silva. Any questions or concerns on approving the report? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the treasurer's report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Say your name. Ayes have it. Any abstains? No. Okay, ayes have it, still have it. Great. So next up, so thank you, Treasurer Heyman, for your report. So next up, we have, sorry, lost place. We have resolution number 55-20. Can we get a reading of it by Solicitor Kilkenny? Capital budget resolution. And you need to unmute.
I'm unmuting. Yes, I'm getting there.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah, I'm muting members.
All right. Yeah, got it open. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay, Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, Resolution 5520, a resolution of the Township of Upper Darby, Delaware County, providing for the adoption of the capital program for 2021 and providing an effective date. Whereas Section 907 of the Home Rule Charter requires a Township Council publish in one or more newspapers of general circulation times and places where copies of the capital program are available for inspection by the public and the time and place for the public hearing of the capital program. Whereas the general summary of the capital program for 2021 was published in accordance with the Home Rule Charter on October 28, 2020 in the Delaware County Times. Whereas the notice provided there would be public hearings held virtually 2 weeks after the publication on Wednesday, November 11, 2020, and on Wednesday, November 18, 2020, to review the capital program. Whereas the notice also provided a time and place where copies of the capital program are available for inspection by the public. Whereas Section 907 of the Home Rule Charter provides the council shall adopt the capital program after a public hearing. Now therefore be resolved that the capital program of 2021 be adopted by council.
Great, thank you. Can we get a motion to approve Resolution 55-20? Turn on your mics.
So moved.
Blackwell.
Second.
Are there any questions or concerns on Resolution 55-20? None. All those in favor of Resolution 55-20, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say your name.
Bonnet, no.
So
No.
Lisa Wagner and Bonnet are a no?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I believe Tom Wagner as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and so, yes. Okay, so it's 8 yes and 3 no. Okay. Next up, we have, could we get our bond counsel to give us a, actually to give us a brief on ordinance number 30-83.
Sure. This is Attorney Pat Scott from Obermayer Law Firm in Philadelphia. Ordinance number 2020-3083 is the ordinance that would approve the refunding of two series of bonds, Series 2016 and Series 2017, within certain parameters that we discussed at the last meeting. It would authorize the issuance of the bonds and the execution of documents necessary to approve the bonds, and would also authorize the execution of a bond purchase agreement that would enable PNC Capital Markets to purchase the bonds, market them, sell them for the benefit of the township. But the purpose of this is to refund the Series 2016 and 2017 bonds from the township.
Great, thank you. At this point in time, I'd like to open a public hearing for ordinance number 30-83. If Ms. Dobbins can come on to give us any public comment for this public hearing.
Council President Wentz, no comments were received from the public on this ordinance.
Okay, thank you. So seeing that there are no public comments, we're going to officially close the public hearing. Sorry, just taking news. Okay. At this point in time, can we get a motion to approve ordinance number 30-80?
So moved.
So moved.
Quinn and Sadiq. Okay. Are there any questions or concerns on ordinance 30-83 from council or anyone? Councilman Wagner, go ahead.
I just would appreciate if one of the financial professionals would confirm what's my understanding of this ordinance anyway. The $16,300,000 does not consist of new debt. It's the refinancing of existing debt. Am I correct?
Yeah, good question. And I think it's an important clarification. So this is strictly refinancing, and it's going to produce interest rate savings. So there's no new debt. That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Okay, seeing none. Everyone turn on your microphones. All those in favor of passing ordinance 30-83, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say your name. None. Any abstains? None. Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Great. So next up, we have ordinance number 3084. If bond counsel can give us a brief on 3084.
Thank you, President Wentz. Attorney Scott, again, in regard to ordinance 2020-3084. This is the ordinance that authorizes the incurrence of, or the issuance of bonds up to $10 million on a tax-exempt bank qualified basis to fund the finance of the acquisition of certain capital assets that will benefit the township, consisting of furnishings, machinery, apparatus, fixtures, equipment, or other assets normally classified as capital assets, and to pay the costs of issuing those bonds, authorizing the execution of a bond purchase agreement, which also would authorize PNC Capital Markets to purchase the bonds, market them for sale, and ultimately the proceeds would be used by the township to fund the acquisition of those assets.
Great, thank you. At this point in time, we'd like to open the public hearing for ordinance number 30-24. Can Ms. Dobbins come on and give us public comment for this ordinance?
Council President Wentz, there are no public comments for this ordinance.
Thank you. Hearing that there are no public comments, then the public hearing for ordinance 30-84 is closed. At this point in time, can we get a motion to approve 30-84?
So move.
Seconded.
And Gwen? Are there any questions or concerns from council? Councilman Wagner? Go ahead.
Thank you, Council President Wentz. I've got real concerns about this ordinance and this plan. If I understand this correctly, this is the beginning of a plan to take on $30 million of new debt over the next 3 years. And I'm well aware this is not the school district, we're the township, but this is happening, it being proposed at the same time that the school district is planning to do precisely the same thing, issue a $30 million bond debt of its own. No, we're not the school district. They're two separate entities, the school district and the township, but they have one big thing in common. They have the same taxpayers. And given this ordinance, if it's approved, and if the school district's plans are simultaneously approved, the imposition on taxpayers of Upper Darby will be $60 million of new debt over the next 3 years, not including interest. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's way too much. We've just heard very encouraging reports, actually, that the condition of our township financially is quite good. That's not going to stay that way. If we start spending money like this and borrowing money like this, it's too much, and I'm against it. That's why I voted against the capital program as well, because it embraces this and incorporates this. And that's why I'm voting against this ordinance. And I urge you all to do so. Thank you.
Okay.
Council President Wentz, is it all right if I respond to that?
Yes, please.
There's a document that Zach Williard had distributed earlier. I'd like to put up on the screen just so we can talk about it for a moment. Here we go. This is a look at the various municipalities across the state of Pennsylvania, measuring their debt service against their total spend, which is, I think, the appropriate metric here for us to be looking at. It's not about debt load, it's about debt service. And I cannot obviously speak for the schools and that 30 million, and that's beyond the scope of this discussion. I can speak to our debt load. And so with the first tranche of this 30 million, with the 10 million we're about to issue, look at the lower chart here, we would have a total debt load of $2.7 million annually against expenditures of 91.7 million. That puts us at a 2.96% debt to total expenditure ratio. Compare that with the other of the 10 largest townships, as well as Haverford and Radnor. Radnor's at 4.15, Haverford at 8.34, Pittsburgh 10.3, Allentown 19.69. Only Erie. Erie is the only municipality in our size range in the state of Pennsylvania that has a lower debt to total expenditures than we do. Now, even if this discussion extends to the next two tranches, in the worst year that we will have, the heaviest debt load per the bond schedule provided by PFM, our debt load will be 3.6 million, which will raise this to about another percent, 3.96. Still pretty damn good compared to the other municipalities. So I guess I would say that you have to look at the immeasurable good that will be done with this capital infusion, given that there's so much that needs work. And the cost is certainly not going to result in a tax increase. I think we can comfortably absorb it. And with that, I will yield the floor.
Thank you for that clarification. Oh, where'd you go? There you are. Okay. So I also see Councilman Silva's hand and Councilman Barnett's hand, but Councilman Silva's next.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, I understand my colleague's argument there. I'm not so sure it's in good faith. Our last ordinance was just passed, paying off previous debts that were incurred over the years, and I'm just curious as if he had any issues with the possibility of raising taxes when those debts were accrued. I kind of feel like they weren't. But on the other hand, we have a lot of equipment that's aging. We have a lot of fire department equipment that needs to be replaced because as a mechanic, I can tell you firsthand that a lot of times when you have equipment that is within that age range, you almost spend more maintaining it than you do replacing it. And it's and to be honest, greater than even that concern, the financial concern, is the safety concern. When there are vehicles that are 20 years old or older, they are emergency response vehicles. They are needed when they are needed. When they are needed, they do, it's not time to find out that something is broken or something is not able to operate. So there's a lot of good things on this capital improvement budget. And I think, yes, that, there are expenditures that have to happen. They have to happen sometimes because the safety of our residents is more important than anything else. And I hope we consider that when we make this vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Silva. Councilman Barnett.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to concur in everything Councilman Wagner said. This $30 million of planned new debt translates into $40 million of debt service on top of existing debt service. And looking at the charts that were projected by PFM and presented in previous meetings, they contradict what Mr. Marin just said about our debt service shown in that chart, equating us to other communities. First of all, I believe the amount of debt service shown in that chart was somewhere in the vicinity of $2.4 million annually. I can tell you the charts that were presented to us based on this new $30 million debt in 2021 goes up to 2.7 million and carries at 2.7 million through 2022. But in 2023, it jumps to 3.340 $3,340,000 of debt service. And that 340,000 only grows for the next quite a few years in magnitude. So, but it's really not how we compare to other communities. It's what it costs our taxpayers, not what it reflects on what it might cost another community's taxpayers or equate to it. So it has to be considered that we are incurring a substantial amount of debt. And while I do agree, it's oftentimes better to replace equipment than to maintain it, particularly when it's aged. We probably already have those funds where, and I do believe we already budgeted for replacement of fire apparatus. So, I don't believe that I can support, and I won't support the borrowing of this 10 million or the next 10 million or another tranche of 10 million, which is in fact the plan presented for Upper Darby Township. Thank you.
It's not the plan presented tonight.
Not tonight, I agree.
Councilman Gwynn? Go ahead.
I would just like to reiterate what I think Vince was saying. We're looking at the $10 million tonight to be added and what it is going to cover in terms of those assets that we're going to acquire. The other $20 million is something that will occur down the road and may not occur, as you rightly may look at things and say that those issues are too much or a bridge too far. But those are for decisions that are to be made another day, not today. That's what my point is.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. Wagner, I see your hand. I just need to see if any other council members who haven't already spoken. I see Councilman Tunis. Go ahead.
Yeah, like Councilman Silva said, I'm looking at it in the things that we don't have in our township, the things that we need. When we're hearing from residents and we're not able to complete some of the things they want, we have to wonder why, right? So we're trying to put ourselves in that position. Some of my colleagues are trying to really work on the messaging and how they message this. They're trying to have the residents think of things down the line. As far to my knowledge, right now, we're only focused on the 10 million. So if we're moving forward, we can get to that point. But this is just simply trying to instill fear into the taxpayers and residents. Don't be fooled. Listen keenly. The information will be provided, and do your research and your due diligence. Reach out to your council members if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any other council CAO, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to add that it's also a question of timing and opportunity. The way that the markets are right now with interest rates as low as they are, it's the appropriate time for Upper Darby to seize that opportunity to borrow this money, because a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we don't know what the market conditions might be. The interest rates might be much higher, and we might be in a situation where our equipment or our facilities have broken down to the point where we have no choice but to borrow the money and replace them. And at that point, we could be paying 3, 4, 5% in interest. So, and our financial folks might be able to speak to this more keenly, but with interest rates as low as they are now, it's really time to strike while the iron is hot and take advantage of the market where it is. And so I think that is a point that council and the public would sort of do well to be advised of and understand. And in terms of whether the borrowing is or is not substantial, I mean, obviously that's a relative question, and certainly I would imagine compared to our at-home budgets, $10 million would be more than substantial compared to when we go and balance our checkbooks. But I do think it's very appropriate to look at our peer communities to determine what is common practice, what is standard operating procedure for municipalities of our size. And I do think that the numbers bear out that we are, in fact, quite conservative when it comes to our debt load, our debt service, the burden on our taxpayers. So in that context, I would respectfully disagree that it is not substantial. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Gary, did you want to add in?
Yes, I wanted to add something to what Vince just said, and in so doing, respond to what Councilman Bonnet said. First of all, I did comment, I hope I commented, that with the entire $30 million, even including the two future tranches, our total debt service will top out at 3.6 million. The 3.34 million that it climbs to in 2 years out continues to go up to 3.607 and 3.608, and that's the top. And at 3.608, we're still lower than 4% debt to total expenditure. And so now bringing it back to what CEO Rangione just said, coming from the world of business, it's all about benchmarking. You gauge how you're performing by looking at your peers. That schedule showed every major municipality in the state of Pennsylvania, and we are by far under, our debt load is considerably less, I'll find the English for this, than any of our peer municipalities. And that is a vital metric. And with that, I'm finished.
Okay, is there anyone, Zach?
Yeah, I think Vince was asking for me to comment quickly. It's not our role to comment on the projects. Obviously, that's up to you. But so we put these schedules together, and the two things that I can comment on are the timing, and one, the interest rate market is very low. So while there's never a good time to borrow money, there is a right time, and now would be the right time, assuming that you want to move forward with these projects. And then the second piece of the timing is, your existing debt was structured in that it's starting to pay off. So while you're taking on this new debt, we've talked about this a number of times over the last 12 months, it's going to have less of an impact on your budget because your old debt is paying off. So, that part of the timing also, works in your favor at the moment.
And also to connect on that, the ordinance we just passed gives you the opportunity to refinance that in a way to an even lower percentage of interest, to even have less that we have to pay off from, to make it so that it's not as high of a amount we have to pay off, right?
Yeah, we do expect, sometime here in the next, coming weeks or months to refinance, some or a portion of your existing debt and save somewhere between $500,000 and, even maybe as high as $1 million of debt service. That's correct.
Great. And so I know Mr. Councilman Wagner, I still have you, I still have you down. I just want to make sure no other council member who hasn't already spoken wants to comment. Okay, so I'm seeing none. Councilman Wagner, it's you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the things that were just said, but I find myself amazed. I'm really amazed how far we've come in just 6 weeks. 6 weeks ago, we had our mayor telling us that the previous administration left the township in such bad shape. Now we're being told that our debt is nothing like one municipality after another. We're pretty damn good, I think, is what our finance director said. We're being told now that we should borrow more because everybody else is much further in debt than we are. Upper Darby Township has been maintained in good financial condition for a long time because there hasn't been excessive borrowing. Now, we're being asked to approve a program that is the beginning of what is intended to be $30 million of new debt for the township. And I'm sorry, but you cannot fairly ignore the fact that the school district is intending to do exactly the same thing, in even precisely the same amount, and at the same time. No, we don't control what the school district does, but it's irresponsible for us not to take into account what's happening there. The result, if it's all passed, will be $60 million of new debt to the township without interest, not including interest. If there's anything, we all hear from our taxpayers to whom we are ultimately responsible. It is that our taxes are too high, and taking on significant additional debt is not the way to bring them down. It's not going to bring them down at all. You know, with all due respect to what's been said around the table here, I'm very much against this entire concept. I'm going to vote no on it, and I implore everybody who is responsible to the taxpayers of this township to vote no.
CAO.
Yeah, I think it bears repeating because of the nature of the conversation. What's before the council tonight is a less than $10 million borrowing. So when you hear folks insistent on elevating that number to 30 million, 40 million, in some cases 60 million, I do think people should ask themselves why people want to do that. What's before the council is a less than $10 million borrowing. It's been stated and shown empirically that a tax increase will not be needed to pay for it. And yeah, I think that the plain facts that have been presented speak for themselves on that issue.
Thank you. Councilman Silva?
I'm sorry, I was just gonna point of order the fact that we weren't voting on a $30 million tax increase, and then we also don't control the school district, which, I mean, I do agree that my colleague, Mr. Wagner, did say that, but it sure feels like he was implying something else. So, but that's all I had to say. Sorry, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none. Sorry, I lost my paperwork for a second. Hold on, sorry. Here we go. All those in favor, everyone turn your microphones on, council members. All those in favor of ordinance number 34, sorry, dyslexic moment. Ordinance number 3084, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name.
Lisa.
Wagner.
For centuries, some of the richest people in this
John, you're muted.
I'm opposed, yes, Don Bonnet.
Okay, just wanted to double check. And everyone else was an aye, I believe. No more. Yes, great. So we have an 8 in favor and 3 against. So the ordinance passes. So thank you very much to our bond team for helping us out with understanding everything about this. Both your ordinances have passed. And also want to thank Gary for his assistance in this matter as well. You've been very essential to our understanding. So that ends the Finance Committee part of the agenda. You guys rock. You can move on and have a great night.
All right, stay healthy, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you for all
Happy
your
Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Absolutely.
Yes. Happy holidays. All right, at this point in time, we're moving on to Public Safety Committee. Co-chairs Burke and Blackwell, members Silva and Tunis Jr. Can Solicitor Richardson give us a brief on Resolution 51-20?
Thank you. Thank you, President Wentz. Resolution 51-20, whereas Ordinance 482 of the Township of Upper Darby, commonly known as the Parking Meter Ordinance, provides for the installation, operation, maintenance, and regulation and control of the use of parking meters and imposes penalties for the violation thereof. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Ordinance 482 be and the same is hereby amended and supplemented by the following. To remove parking meter 986 that is situated at 3617 Garrett Road. So it's the reading of this resolution.
Great, thank you. Council members, turn your microphones on. Can we get a motion to approve Resolution 51-20?
So moved.
Second.
Phillips, right?
Yes.
And then second, was that Green?
When
Okay.
We
Okay. Are there any questions or concerns on resolution 51-20? Seeing none, everyone turn your microphones on. All those in favor of 51-20, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name. Ayes have it, unanimous. Great. Next up is resolution 52-20. Solicitor Richardson, can you give us a brief?
Thank you, President Wentz.
Read it because we did actually change it a little bit.
Sure. Whereas Ordinance 449 of the Upper Darby Township prohibits parking of vehicles on certain highways and regulates the parking on certain highways and imposes penalties for the violation thereof. Now therefore be it resolved that ordinance number 449B and the same is hereby amended and supplemented by adding to section 15, therefore the following: install a load/unload zone that reads load/unload from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. except Sunday, limited to 30 minutes/vehicle at the following location: 3617 Garrett Road. So ends the reading of the resolution.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to approve resolution 52-20?
So make a motion to approve.
Second.
Right, so I heard Blackwell and Gwynn first. So Blackwell and Gwynn. Are there any questions or concerns on this resolution? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of resolution 52-20, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, say your name. Abstains? Hearing none. Thank you. You guys rock. And thank you for everyone who worked on this resolution to get it to this successful conclusion. So great. All right. So next up, we have a solicitor report.
Thank you very much, President Wentz. In the last week, since it hasn't been too much time since our last meeting, but we have worked on the various resolutions that you have here before council. We also have been working on some real estate transactions as well. Our office has been answering right to know requests. Ms. Richardson has been working closely with our bond counsel on getting that in order. And we frequently answer code questions related to land development submissions and working with staff to bring those in good order. That's all I really have for my report, Madam President, subject to you or council's questions.
Great. Any concerns for our solicitors? Seeing none. Next up is old business, and in old business, I need to say upfront that I forgot to mention earlier that we had an executive session at 6:30 this evening to talk about litigation and real estate. So I just wanted to get that out there since I forgot to do that earlier. And so I see Councilman Bonnet. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. Last week, we received a presentation about the proposed Drexel Line Shopping Center. I want to clear up that I've gotten some comments from people that thought that we actually acted and approved that. We did not yet. And that is an action that will be taken at some point in the future. And it's my understanding that they will be submitting for approval both a preliminary and subsequently a final land development plan. So there'll be basically a two-step approval. Question, Madam President, do we have what is our schedule for bringing a vote on both the preliminary and final land development applications?
For the preliminary, it's happening on December 9th.
Thank you.
We don't have the final one yet. they need a little more time to finalize, as far as I understand.
Did we
So-
say sometime in January, perhaps, for that?
Sometime this winter.
Okay.
Definitely. I can't clarify a month. The specific month, they will let us know when they're ready for that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, is there anyone else with old business? Councilman Silva? Go ahead, Councilman Silva.
Sorry. Okay. Yes, thank you, Council President. I just wanted to mention that the events committee is moving forward with the job fair coming up this December 12th. We've gotten some good responses from a couple different groups, and we're looking forward to putting together something nice for the residents that'll help during these troubling times. So we're hoping to not only just showcase like current jobs, but also like training opportunities and other opportunities for people that might be pausing due to like health risks. Perhaps when they come out of this, they can come out with a different certification or a different training after hopefully we go back to whatever normal becomes. So, thank you.
Great. And also just to clarify, Councilman Silva, it's December 12th from 2 to 4, and it's a virtual job fair, right?
Yeah, we're still working on the format, and there might be a little issue with the timing, but it will start at 12 on the 12th at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
That it may be a little long. We're still working out some of the details, but yes, it will be on the 12th at 2 o'clock.
Okay, great. Thank you for the clarification. So you're going to include jobs within the county, within the township, and other potential employers looking for people? Is that about right?
We're looking at some, there's been some interest from private employers. We're still like kind of in discussions with as far as the county, and I think actually it's kind of, it's not so much the township right now. So, but it's a lot of juggling right now, and I'd hate to give a lot of details and have them not be accurate. So, but we are moving forward, and we've had a lot of great support so far. So we're looking forward to putting together a quality product for the 12th.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much. So next up, we have Councilman Gwynn and Councilman Faralia. I see your hand. So Councilman Gwynn, go ahead.
He answered the question that I was going to ask about it being virtual.
Great. So Councilwoman Faralia.
Yeah, Matt, do you have a flyer you can send out?
Not quite yet. We have a couple other meetings that we're putting together, but Lisa, as soon as I have the link information and we put together the flyer, I will forward it to all of council.
All right, thank you.
Will it be on the website? Upper Darby website?
That would be one of those details I'm not sure I can promise, but hopefully we can. I'll have to reach out to someone in the administration to see if that's possible. But yeah, I would hope it is, and if so, if otherwise we have other avenues too, where I feel pretty confident that Council President Wentz monitors our Facebook page for the council. It would appear there. But yeah, as soon as as we finalize some of the other items with the formatting and stuff like that, then we'll be able to put those details forward. So.
Great, thank you. Councilman Tunis?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what Councilman Silva said, and it may be possible, like you said, President Wentz is very active on our social media, as well as Ms. Dobbins with the township social media. So like whenever the township posts anything, it directly goes onto the website. The website has like a social media aspect that you can see. So if residents miss something, if they're not on Facebook, just know whenever the township puts something on Facebook, it goes like directly. to the website.
Great, thank you. And you had an event this past weekend, Councilman Tunis. How was it?
Yeah, I guess is it my turn? This was somebody had the hand raised. I didn't want to take your or speak out of turn.
Still talking.
Okay.
Still-
Yeah. So this weekend I held my first Cranberry Bowl. It's a really great event. I want to thank all the council members that came out to support. Councilman Burke, Councilwoman Blackwell. I appreciate it. And those that couldn't, don't worry. I'm gonna have more events in the future. We're gonna keep on ramping up, doing things for the youth, because that's what it's all about. It was great to have a couple of kids from I said kids. I'm sorry, couple young people that I went to Upper Darby with from Drexel Hill, from the graduates of Bonner, Upper Darby, all come together and giving these kids a day and just seeing the pure joy in their face. And that's what it's really all about. I want to give a special shout out to Wawa, Kelly's Trophy, Make It Last Clothing, Visionary Incorporated for sponsoring. So we got more work to do.
All right, thank you. It was a nice event.
Thank you. I got the time wrong and I showed up at 1:30 and it was long over. So I'll get the time right next time.
No problem. I'll make sure I'll make it more clear.
It's all good. So thank you. Any other council members have anything for old business? Okay, seeing none. New business? Councilwoman Fralia, is your hand up from earlier?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't missing you. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything for new business. Oh, Councilman Siddiq, go for it.
I don't know if it is new business or not. The 69th Street area is pretty bad about the COVID-19. So we need another quick testing center. If township can help, what will be the suggestion for the people pretty much getting positive result?
Well, I think the positive results are happening everywhere, not just at 69th Street, but we did just have a mobile site there in the area. I believe it's set up by the county, but CAO, can you give a little, is there a COVID testing coming back again sometime soon?
I don't know definitively, but we have had some further conversations with the county and some nonprofit organizations about bringing back more testing. It's one of these things where we need to be reactive to the current trend. I think we were sort of hoping to be in a different position, but those are absolutely conversations that we're having to try to get more testing into the township.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Okay. Well, I just want to thank everyone for participating tonight. Council, administration, solicitors, our bond team, our finance team, all the Alexis and so forth, everyone, residents who took part and are watching, we greatly appreciate you. Everyone have safe holidays. Keep social distancing, wear your masks when you're out in public or around people you don't normally hang out with. And thank you, Mayor Keffer, for all that you do leading our path. And so thank you all. You guys rock. It's 8:55 and our meeting, I need one more motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So approved.
So I got
Second.
Quinn and all those in favor signify by
Happy holidays if you celebrate Thanksgiving. Bye.
Have a happy Thanksgiving turkey.
Awesome.
Gobble, gobble. If you celebrate, gobble, gobble.
Thank you. You guys rock.